Call the meeting to order. Staff for pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the May 13th, 2014 meeting of the Village Board. Our first guest will be County Legislator Joel Tyner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, board members. There was a vote last night in the county legislature about the jail cell pods. I've been wrestling with the issue for the last 10 years I've been in the legislature. I just wanted to explain briefly my position, why I voted the way I did. I understand that there are 200 Dutchess County jail inmates that are housed out to other jails, in New York State every day, which is a lot. But if you actually read the report from the Dutchess County Criminal Justice Council that came out about a year and a half ago, it recommends very strongly transitional housing alternatives for women, mentally ill, and youth. According to Dutchess County Jail Administrator George Crum, there are 55 women in the county jail. There were 86 Dutchess County jail inmates in March who received, treatment, basically. And there were, 13 youth. That's 154 right there. The Poughkeepsie Journal reported July 22nd last year that the National Institute of Correction has found that halfway houses for state parole violators who, may fail a urine test, instead of being, put back in jail for $300 a day in Dutchess County, maybe put them in a halfway house if all they did is fail a urine test for $65 a day. And there's 19 state parole violators. That brings it up to 173, which is pretty darn close to 200. There are about 20 folks in the Dutchess County jail with bail set at $500, $1,000, $1,500. These are folks accused of nonviolent misdemeanors. They haven't done anything, to basically cause a threat to society. For decades, Tompkins County has had a United Way agency called Opportunities for Alternatives and Resources, oartompkins.org, saves $400,000 a year with a bail loan fund for people that are accused of nonviolent misdemeanors. This is in a county with less than 1/3 of our population. That's about 200. And I've been working on this issue for 10 years. I brought some of the top experts in the state over and over again to Poughkeepsie and Dutchess County for forums. People that have cut the recidivism rate from 68% to 9% in Albany County. Peter Young's programs, pyhit.com, trying to get these ex-cons connected with services and jobs and housing and treatment after they get out. John Chaney I brought up from Brooklyn. The Brooklyn DA, Charlie Hines, 15 years ago, started the Com Alert system reentry. New York Times has recognized it. Harvard has recognized it. Incredibly slashed the recidivism rate there. In Dutchess County, because we don't have this, 2/3 of the guys are locked up again in 3 years. We don't have a YMCA anymore in Dutchess County. We don't have YWCA. We don't have a Big Brothers Big Sisters. We don't have a Green Teen Community Gardening Program in the city of Poughkeepsie. And if you talk to Robert Wright of Nubian Directions on Main Street in Poughkeepsie, he says easy, there's an extra 100 at-risk city Poughkeepsie youth every year that he could take off the streets, put on the right track if he had the money to do it. So there's a huge, the youth programs, the county funding for youth programs and other programs have been destroyed and decimated. So one of the points, I'm hoping, this vote went through last night. There was already $2.6 million approved last year for jail expansion. Last night there was another $6.4 million approved for the 200 jail cell pods. That's $9 million. There were Republicans and Democrats that are now talking about, because I've been the one guy in the Dutchess County mobilizing people to come out and speak. There are Republicans and Democrats now talking about we need to put some money back in for our youth. So there's a little bit of window opportunity. There's a chance. So if anybody on this board, anybody watching, anybody else in the room wants to save a little money, I'll just say that the U.S. Department of Justice, Vanderbilt University came out with a report. Each at-risk youth, and my job during the day, I work with at-risk youth in Ulster County. Each at-risk kid that you put on the right track and you keep them on the right track saves $1.5 million to $2 million. Because you don't have to pay when they get mixed up in the criminal justice system. And we're throwing a lot of kids away in Dutchess County. And one of the big reasons why, unfortunately, I think some people are forcing a $200 million jail expansion, because after those pods get put in, and unfortunately that was the vote that went down last night, the argument then is going to be, well, it's inhumane to keep these folks in pods, so the humane thing to do is a $150, $200 million jail expansion. So I really urge people, it's not too late to get involved. Go to engine.org, enjan.org, jobsnotjails.weebly.com. I'm not a huge fan of Jeb Bush or Newt Gingrich or Grover Norquist, but those three gentlemen are involved in an organization called Right on Crime, because there are many Republicans all across the country that are trying to stop prison expansion and jail expansion. June 10th last year, there's a big op-ed piece in the New York Times about this, conservativehq.com, Richard Viguerie. The website is rightoncrime.com. Tomorrow, right across the way at Rhinebeck Town Hall, I'm doing a public hearing on Central Hudson price gouging. Chuck Schumer, the senator, he's far from perfect, but even he has recognized what everybody in this room knows, that before the FERC new capacity zone rate hike, our electric rates were skyrocketing for months and months and months, all right? And so I've already asked my colleagues in the county legislature to hold similar public hearings all over Dutchess County and the Hudson Valley. Tomorrow night we're in Rhinebeck, 5:30 p.m. I'm asking all of you to bring copies of your electric bills for the last month or two, and then go back to, September, October, November, December last year. And I'm hoping to have these all over, because when Chuck Schumer, a man who unfortunately has enabled a little bit too much of Wall Street deregulation, when even Chuck Schumer says that there needs to be a full independent investigation of Central Hudson over price gouging, there's something to that. And the Daily Freeman has reported the top 5 guys from Central Hudson raked in $22 million from that Fortis acquisition that supposedly they weren't looking for. And Central Hudson has made $35 million a year in profits for many years. Something else, 5 years ago I got a resolution passed 22-3, many Republicans and Democrats voting for it, about Lyme. May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month. The resolution that I got passed 5 years ago, 22-3, was in support of Assemblyman Joel Miller's bill for New York State to be like Connecticut and Rhode Island, make sure that chronic health insurance is there for Lyme disease, Lyme and tick-borne disease. This is many years before the Poughkeepsie Journal started covering it. Just a couple days ago, I think it was yesterday, in the state assembly, they passed that legislation. Now we got to get it through the state senate. Terry Gibson's picked up this over the last couple of years. I just urge people, 877-255-9417. Terry, unfortunately, is not part of the ruling majority in the state senate. So if we want to make 2014 the year that legislation actually passes, it's 877-255-9417. You can call the governor's office, call the state senate. And the reason why I'm talking about it now, for many years I've hosted free screenings with Fred Nagel's DVD projector set of a movie called Under Our Skin. If you go to underourskin.com, it's a movie about Lyme disease and tick-borne disease, and it's amazing. There's about 500 people signed on to my petition from all over the state for real health insurance coverage for Lyme and protection for the doctors, the Lyme literate doctors. The screening that I'm hosting with Fred Nagel's equipment is going to be Friday, May 23rd, 5:30 p.m. at Rhinebeck Town Hall. That's Friday, May 23rd, 5:30 p.m., Rhinebeck Town Hall. I've seen the movie many, many times. Part of me wants to tell myself, Joel, why are you doing this? But I'm amazed that the Assembly actually finally passed this legislation. So now maybe there's a chance that we can actually get health insurance coverage for Lyme this year. And the more people that come out to that, the better. Real quick, for over a decade, I've been talking about we could save so much money with the Canadian prescription drug option for county employees and retirees. Finally, there are 2 Republicans talking about this. Last Thursday during committee day, Angela Flesland, Ken Roman, to their credit, brought this up during the Budget, Finance, and Personnel Committee. WAMC reported 4 years ago, Schenectady County saved a lot of money this way, $13 million over the 5-year period. We would have saved $30 million over the last decade if we had a Canadian prescription drug option for county employees and retirees in Dutchess County as in Schenectady County. That's not chump change. We would have saved $30 million. And now there are Republicans talking about this. If you would like to save some money for Dutchess County taxpayers so that we don't have budget cuts and layoffs and insanity, withholding money from the municipalities, I can't talk right, you need to reach out to Mr. Molinaro and everybody in the county legislature to make that happen. Just a couple other things. The Orange County legislature last October passed a law against pay-to-play. For county level campaign finance form. If you get a big contract from the county, you cannot make a big donation. I've been pushing for this. The late, great Lucille Patterson and I started the push for this in Dutchess County in the late 90s. There was a Republican majority in the Orange County legislature that passed that last October. The folks who are running the county government right now are not even allowing our proposal from my caucus for that to happen, to clean up Dutchess County government, stop pay-to-play. It's not even being allowed onto the agenda for committee day. Okay? Same thing with the well testing legislation that even the Poughkeepsie Journal is editorialized for. When properties change hands, same thing for the neighbor notification for pesticide application that the Daily Freeman is editorialized for, that they have in Ulster County. None of this stuff is even being allowed on the agenda for committee day. And I'm saying it now because I'm trying to get the media to cover it, and the media hasn't been reporting on it. So I'm just putting that out there. Last but not least, I know there's a local event here, but we're trying to get 1,000 people on the walkway over the Hudson at some point this year, and we're starting this Sunday afternoon. I know there's a local Rhinebeck Cemetery event. I didn't mean for the conflict to happen, but I just urge people to go to thesolutionsproject.org. If there's one way to create jobs, 4.5 million green jobs by 2030, save $36 billion a year across New York State, save 4,000 lives a year, and the comment period is still open on the New York State Energy Plan. It's thesolutionsproject.org, because these scientists, these professors from Cornell and Stanford came up with this plan, and it's amazing. It would just about solve everything. 58,000 permanent new green jobs, 4.5 million temporary new green jobs. So I know that was way too much. I will not be that long next month. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm at 453-2105, 876-2488. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
So I think we'll skip around a little bit on the agenda. We have a couple visitors. Joanne, do you want to talk to us about the,
Thanks, but I don't have
This
the
one?
mock-up.
yes, you do.
Oh, thanks so much.
Right here.
Joanne Engel, Town Brandon. I was asked to just follow through with this. Thank you, Pat. Is everyone familiar with it? Okay,
Yes.
good. We're attempting to get the consortium, which is all of the historical groups together, and support this kiosk, which I think is supposed to go near the Doughboy on that little green, and that's a matter of controversy of sorts, but it's workable. It's workable. There is a spot there somewhere near the bench, and I think it just needs to be talked about a little bit more. I think Marilyn Hatch was the one who started it, and Marilyn is not in Rhinebeck anymore. So I've been asked to just keep it on the back burner, let you know that it is being processed. The man up at Dave's sign shop in Red Hook is working on it. I will be in touch with him. The money is a done deal, I think. I don't know who has it. The treasurer of... wish I knew for sure. I think the Museum of Rhinebeck History. Oh, what's Bill Clark's daughter's name? Elizabeth. Elizabeth Clark supposedly is the person that I'm to contact regarding the money. But the money has been allocated, so that's not the issue. It's placement and who gets what kind of coverage. These would be where the brochures were placed, and they should be underneath the roof. The roof will be copper. It's really nice plan. So I'm not asking for anything.
Looks very nice
Yeah, we
now.
cleaned it up. I was in on that. That's kind of why I'm presenting.
Okay.
And it's readable. And so I'm not going to go to Dave and say, finish it up until I know where that money is.
Joanne,
And,
how many are we doing here of these? One? Just one?
this is just
Just one.
one kiosk. And then there'll be brochures from the organizations
okay.
available, which will have to be replenished by each group. Yeah?
Okay.
And if we see that this works and helps the sites, like this weekend is the sidewalk sale, including history, is fantastic. I think all of this needs more input. So thank you for your time, and I just want
The
to...
size of this is twice as big?
I-
About twice as big?
Actually don't even have the dimensions.
3 by 5, I think
3
it
by
was,
5,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
I think it's 3 by 5.
Thank you.
What is it?
Go ahead. Well,
I thought it was 30 by 60. Yeah, that's
Okay.
Let me,
Roughly, yeah.
yeah, see, I'm just starting to...
I don't know.
I don't
I
think
think this
I
is
will.
the second
I will.
time that I've seen it,
And
second or
I'm-
third
and I'm
time.
always-
Yep.
Is it the fourth for you guys?
Yeah.
Thereabouts.
So is there a plan that shows like maybe like a site plan of sorts that shows where it's
Of where to put it?
Of where to put it?
Not yet, no. I
Okay.
have to revisit that because I heard that David Miller wanted to talk to me, and there was some concern about how close to the bench and so on. That's what I mean, I'm still, so I can't...
You're just thrown into this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be one thing that I think I would like to see at least where in that island of things
Exactly
it's
where in
situated.
relation, yeah.
And then I think just a little bit of the design of the structure and the roof, the posts, the roof, and those kind of
Okay.
things. So some sort of maybe
I'll get that from him, yeah.
a rendering of sorts, maybe just a
I'll do
hand
that.
kind of,
I can draw it after I talk to him.
okay.
Sure, and give you more
That's-
dimensions
is
and
that
things.
reasonable?
All right, so I'll be in touch about when.
Does it have to go through the planning
There's
board?
no hurry.
It's already.
I think the planning board
the
kicked it
planning board,
back.
yeah, they kicked it back, and the big questions that came up were, that it didn't have a lot of the village things on there, which now it has the
Right,
village
which now it
map,
does.
and it has the "You Are Here" icon, and there was also a question about the location, because the original proposed location was, if you're exiting out of the municipal lot, it would be on your right. So not in the same green as the Doughboy, but the.
That's
other
not, that's been changed.
Okay.
Now the plan, as I understand it, is to
Okay.
be on the green near that bench, near the exit.
But it has to be close to the walkway, right, to the sidewalk.
Yeah, it won't be
Otherwise-
back into the gardens.
Yeah.
I mean,
Between the exit and the restaurant, right?
No,
No.
other side. As you're exiting, left.
That's not
Oh.
where it was.
That's not the last one, and
Right.
the,
All right, let me check.
yeah, let's just
Let's
check
just
on
check.
that. Yeah.
And then planning board, I just would need is it David Noah? So I would just be in touch with him and see if that, as I understood it, that was the new, because they didn't want it over there by that rock. But we don't want to go near the Doughboy either.
Right. And if that's, did you say it's 3 by 5?
30 by 60 or something.
Right, and then with a roof on it, it becomes a pretty good sized structure at that point. So I think we would want to see all, kind
Okay,
of
so
all
we have to
that.
work on that. We have to
Yeah.
work. Maybe we'll go back to the other side. I have no belief.
No, it's moving in the right
I'm
direction.
just trying to see that this comes about eventually, because I think it's a good thing.
That's your thing now.
Oh, my God. All righty, well, thanks for your time.
Well, thank you.
And just to let you know, that's who I am, and I will be working on it. And if you want me to take this now, well, everybody's seen it, and I will go back up to Dave and, excellent. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Victoria, you want to give us your presentation?
Hi, good evening. I'm Victoria Polidoro. I'm here with my husband, Craig Rowe. He's being chicken and doesn't want to get out. That pun intended. So we're here tonight to ask you to consider amending the village code to allow the keeping of hens as an accessory, non-commercial use. It would just be for personal use, eggs, and I guess companionship for some people. Rhinebeck is a small rural village, so what we've proposed is a very simple law with a very simple process. It won't require a lot of record keeping or extra work by the building inspector or the zoning enforcement officer at this point. That's our proposal. But we think that even with the simple process, we can still protect property values. Has everyone had a chance to look at our proposal? Okay. So currently in the village, as you probably know, you allow the keeping of large animals. So I could have a cow or a horse or a goat or a pig, as long as my lot was 2 acres. There's not that many 2-acre lots, but there are some. But even on those big lots, you can't have any hens. And so what we're asking you to do is amend the village code to allow the keeping of hens. We recommend a minimum lot size of 0.25 acres. What that does is it eliminates many of the smaller, narrower village lots. So for example, on that strip of land between South Street and Parsonage, on South Street between Parsonage and Montgomery, where there's a church and then there's that white Gothic house, only those 2 lots would be big enough. All the interior lots would be too small to have chickens. And that's where the concern is. It's the small lots that are close together. We defined hen in the law as a female chicken. So that eliminates roosters, peacocks, peahens, anything that makes a lot of noise. So I know a lot of neighbors are concerned about roosters, but they would not be permitted. We've also proposed a limit on the total number of hens, which is 5 per lot. To allow a little bit of flexibility on some of the bigger lots, right now the proposal provides that you could get a special permit for more than 5 hens, but that person would then have to come in and go through a whole application process if that were the case. But 5 would be the limit as of right. And the reason we chose 5 is that hens are apparently social creatures, and you need at least a small number together for them to generate enough body heat to get through a cold winter, because they stay outdoors. So a lot of the sites I looked at and people I've spoken to recommend not really going below 4 or 5. As we drafted the law, it also requires that hens have an enclosed shelter and an enclosed pen, and that they be set back at least 15 feet from a property line. Last year, the city of Beacon amended its code to permit up to 12 chickens on a lot. Beacon's law is a little more complex. I mean, they're a city and they have a lot more residents. But it similarly requires a 15-foot setback. And I have copies of Beacon's law if you want. I'll give it to your attorney. Another local municipality that allows chickens is Hyde Park. I mean, there's many municipalities that allow chickens, but usually it's the towns and the rural areas. Hyde Park, though, has a tight residential area that's not a village, but it's village-like, as well as a town, and they do allow chickens. They regulate it by the pound, which is a little odd, but they have a restriction of it being 250 feet away from the nearest residence. So what that does is it makes it a little more difficult, because you don't just measure from your lot, you have to figure out where the house is on your neighbor's lot. But that's their number. Some of the benefits of chickens is that they provide healthier eggs. Backyard chickens lay healthier eggs than what you buy in the store, because they can forage for bugs and there's more nutrients. They're not just eating chicken feed. It's organic pest control. They eat ticks and other bugs. They aerate the soil when they're scratching around. And they provide organic fertilizer for composting. And also, families that have kids like to teach their kids about responsibility and how life works and taking care of chickens. So we're here tonight to see if you have any questions or comments on our proposal and to ask you to set a public hearing on it. I've already had a few people in the village contact me in support of the proposal. And if you do set a public hearing, I'd ask them to either come out and support it or give you a letter in support of it. So far, nobody's told me they were against it, but of course, the agenda just came out 2 days ago, so that's it. So thank you for your time and your consideration, and I'll try to answer any questions that you have.
Share eggs with your neighbors? Just ask. Okay.
Yes.
I just want Lisa Camp, who's on the Conservation Advisory Board serving the town. She keeps hens, so she'd be happy to come over and tell us her experience sometime.
What's some of the downside of having chicken?
The downsides, it would be like any property. If someone's not maintaining their property properly, there could be a nuisance. So what we've added in this law is actually a nuisance provision, so that if it really is a hassle, you could go out and enforce it. The same way if anyone has too many dogs or too many cats or they're not maintaining their garbage properly. I guess another potential downside would be attraction for other animals. But we think we've resolved that by requiring an enclosed pen and also by requiring the feed to be either indoors or covered with metal tops. That's all I can think of.
How about disease?
Disease? I mean, I guess it's a potential, but if you're buying your chickens from reputable dealers, it shouldn't be a
They are
problem.
dead.
Excuse me?
They are dead. I'm talking about disease from living chicken.
I don't know. I'd have to look into that more. Do you want me to look up some information and give it to you?
Well, sure.
I can do that. Anyone else?
How big of a lot do you have?
Me? I have, we
Who's on the deed?
we have almost half an acre.
See, the thing that I'm a little concerned about, because I don't even know if lot size really matters, because we have so many irregular lots, and the length and width are very different from lot to lot to lot. So if you have a long and narrow lot, and some lots are as narrow as 30 and 40 feet, and
Right.
it could be 150 or 170 feet long. So when you have a 15-foot setback, but the next house is on the property line, which we have a lot of non-conforming buildings because we're a historical
Right.
village, I'm not so sure that that setback, actually can work because of the irregular lot sizes.
Right, well, we did choose 15 feet for that reason, because if you do have a narrow lot, it doesn't give you much room to put the chickens, which means you really couldn't have them, practically speaking. You could recommend a longer setback. I played around in my yard a little bit, and the only thing that happens is if, let's say you have a 30-foot minimum setback, you end up just putting the chicken coop square in the middle, and it looks kind of funny, but I guess it's workable.
When I moved to the village, my backyard neighbor had chickens.
Here?
Yes.
Oh, well, I looked at your lot, and your neighbor would not be allowed to have chickens now.
Yes, he would. They have .26 acres.
Are you sure? Do they have 2 lots combined?
No.
Oh, I looked, I thought every lot adjoining yours didn't meet it. But we can check.
But yeah, I know firsthand what it's like to have chicken neighbors.
Did he not maintain them?
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the problem with
And I
everything.
grew up on a farm, so I'm swayed, but
Yeah, always some bad apples out there. But I think with a limit of 5, the smells really can't get out of hand if you're doing regular maintenance.
Have you talked directly to your neighbors?
Yes, my neighbors, well, people just moved out on one side of us, but everyone in our vicinity is supportive as long as there's no roosters. And actually, another neighbor on the street who can't be here tonight also wants to get chickens. So, I mean, there's a lot of interest in it.
You just want to do it so you can have eggs, right?
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't even go out this month and do it. It's just, we haven't put the time and energy into researching it because it's not allowed right now. So if it was permitted, then we would work on getting a coop and proper facilities, and then we would just raise them for the eggs. Anyone else?
We have, in the southern part of the village, we have a lot of lots that are .25, .26, .27, and so on. Well, they're pretty big-sized houses. And they're sitting, a lot of them sitting right in the middle of the lot.
Are you talking about Stortiniville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. Well, you could up the lot size to .4, as long as...
As long-
0.47 is the highest you can go. No. Yeah, no, I mean, that's true. It's hard to get a one-size-fits-all approach. But on the other hand, if you wanted to have some complicated permit process where everyone has to come in and do individual measurements, it becomes burdensome on the village.
So why did you choose .25 rather than .5?
Well, partly because my lot's .48. And
Okay, why did you choose .48?
well, I don't want this to be, you're just adopting a local law for me and me only.
Well, no,
Yeah,
plus
I
or
mean,
minus
I looked around, I looked at the village map, and I looked at some of the lots, and a lot of the smaller, narrow lots came under the .25 threshold. So to me, it seemed reasonable. Most of the lots that were .25 and bigger seemed, at least from the aerial view, and I wasn't looking at topography or anything, from the aerial view, they seemed to have enough room from their neighbors to support a chicken coop. So that's how I arrived at that number.
Do you have any other villages that have a similar setup?
I can keep looking, and I only looked in Dutchess County today.
Something with a similar population, similar density that we could compare it to.
Yeah, I can do that. I can look and send you what I find.
that would be
Okay.
interesting, and that would be good to get some feedback
Yeah.
from them. I mean,
Yeah.
see it in use.
What's interesting is that it seems it's not the small villages right now that are going towards this, it's the cities. Like, I think Brooklyn allows it, and Beacon, and some of the more populated areas have the momentum. But I'll look and see what I can find.
Where I lived in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is a pretty big city, something of a trend. A few people started it, and people really like chickens, and they do find they're companionable, which
That's what I
I
heard.
had not experienced myself. But, a lot of people are into it. And, Greensboro, you'd have all the problems we'd have times 20.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Victoria.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move right along to our department reports. Gary,
Yeah.
you're up.
Okay.
I don't have a fire department.
The
I get one in my.
April report for the wastewater department, 3.80 million gallons treated, 44,253 gallons of sludge processed, and 6,519 pounds of sludge processed. So that's one in pounds and then gallons. Okay, I got it. I'm going for my tour of the plant, so I'll actually know what they're doing down there. So far, all I know is that you can't smell anything, but I'm actually going to go see the process for myself later in the week. Looking forward to that.
Very well. Heinz,
Yeah.
water?
Well, we treated 11,076,000 gallons of water this month. The boys down there, they cleaned their settling tanks and flood tanks, it's 2 each. They were drained and cleaned, we do that 3 times a year. We replaced the pre-chlorine with potassium permanganate. That is to keep the, among other things, the zebra mussels away. We do that, that's a seasonal kind of a change. I sent engineering specs to Erdman Anthony to provide us a bid package for pump control. I reported that a couple of weeks ago, and we are supposed to get a bid package back by June 6th. I started the evaluation of remedial options to see what we can do in case of a flooding of our low lift station, that we don't get put out of service in here. The last time we had Sandy, we had a flood that came within about 3 or 4 feet in elevation to the low lift station, and it would have gone, that low lift station, the pump's sitting about 12 feet down in the ground, and they would have flooded it, and there's all kinds of electrical switches and so on there. So at some point, we're going to look into moving this stuff higher. That may take us a little while. I have to get to be not only just the electrical switches, but also some of the controls have to be moved. As far as the water distribution system is concerned, we repaired a main break again near 32 Platt Avenue a couple of weeks ago, a week ago. I completed flow and pressure testing in Rhinecliff. I tested about 15 pairs of hydrants. You need always 2 hydrants to do that, one of them to measure the flow and the other one to record the residual pressure and the static pressure. During the flow test, we found only 4 of them that exceeded expectations. We actually had to abandon 2 of the flow tests because the hydrants blew up. By the high pressure, they couldn't take the pressure, and we checked 9 others, and there the flow and pressure were below expectations. We replaced one of the hydrants that we blew up on Orchard and Kelly Street, and we're going to replace 3 more in the next month and a half or so. I'm planning some distribution improvements. The data on the village and the town flow and pressure tests, line breaks history, and so on was sent to, and some of the failures in the last 2 years. All that information, I have a book on that. That was sent to Erdman Anthony to provide us a sort of a precursor of what it is that we want to do with our distribution system here, and we need to do that. We need to do that because in order to go for money, we have to have some kind of a conceptual idea of what we want to do with our distribution system. I expect that preliminary cost estimates and so on sometime in the next week. I think we're going to we're gonna have a meeting in the 20th about the sidewalks with Edmund Anthony. Do you know anything about that? No?
Sorry?
The accessible crosswalks?
Yeah, that's gonna happen. And during that time, I probably want to come back with a cost estimate for a conceptual plan for a distribution system.
Right. The bid opening
Yeah,
is
bid opening,
supposed to be
yeah.
next week, yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about the electrical power reduction initiative that we have taken, and we had a pretty good month. I think I sent you all this, and you can have that. That is the results from our solar panels up there. We generated about 2,800 kilowatt hours, 2,852 actually, but consumed 3,400. So it was pretty good. We saved about $600 this month of April. That's all I have today.
Heinz,
Yeah.
with the solar panels, you said the guy recommended that they be cleaned once in a while
Yeah, they're flat. You just hose them off.
with some kind of a solution, I use.
Yeah,
No?
I wouldn't do that.
Just hose them off?
Just hose them off. Yeah,
Okay.
with a pressure hose. But mine get cleaned by God.
Well-
Yours too, yeah, but mine are on an angle.
Well, these are too.
Well, no, not the ones in the center of the roof. They're lying flat from what I have seen. The
No,
pictures
they're
I've
up a
seen.
little bit.
They're lifted.
Yeah.
Then I probably don't have to do anything.
Okay.
There's no leaves going on there, right? I mean,
No.
nothing around there, just dust.
Yeah.
We can go inspect them anyway, right?
Yeah, we can go look at
Yeah,
them.
look at them. And if they look dusty and so on, you just go in with a pressure hose and just hose them up.
Mhm.
I would not use any solutions on it.
Okay. Heinz has solar panels on his own roof at home, so I know you're the expert at that.
They work.
Yeah.
We had a good month, the last 2 months, actually.
Fire, we don't have the call report for this month, but do you want to talk about the truck and anything else that's going on
Sure.
over here?
I mean, over the last couple of weeks, I've been participating in different discussions about how to proceed with the need for a new truck and different options with that, and whether or not we should proceed with the repair of the existing truck. There's lots of differing opinions, and quite frankly, they're all pretty good. From not repairing the truck and remaining on mutual aid, of which is perfectly fine for a certain amount of time, or spending this $18,000 and repairing the truck and putting it back into service and hoping that it lasts while the truck committee specifies the truck that they want, finds the truck that they want, comes to this board and gets approval or seeks approval for that, for us to be able to finance a new truck for maybe next year. So there's a couple of different options on the table. I'm not sure whether there's anything final as of yet, and whether there's any real decision to make. I think we need to probably have one final meeting with the fire department and get maybe their final opinion of how they'd like to proceed. But right now, they've presented at least me with some options. I'm not ready to bring a final one to you guys just yet. I don't know, Heath, you've had those
Yeah,
similar discussions?
I've heard many different opinions on the right way to proceed. It's basically the first line engine is out of service. It's been that way for a couple weeks. It needs an engine rebuild to the tune of $18,000, but it's already 26 years old, and prior to the breakdown, there's already talks, there's a committee to replace it. We haven't committed the funding, of course, to replacing it, but the plan was to replace it. The normal lifespan is 20 years, it's at 26, and it has limited to no value for resale.
And besides that, it's out of compliance with NFPA. There's lots of updates that need to take place with it. It's certainly usable and serviceable in tandem with some of the other trucks that we have, if we decide to take that route
Right.
to repair it.
So we plan to come back the next time with some.
Yeah, I think I've been soliciting, the differing opinions, and I've participated in some of the other, they've had some demonstration trucks here over the last couple of weeks, and they've been looking at different vendors and really trying to figure out exactly what type of truck and what options they want on their truck. So I don't think they themselves have finalized what it is that they're looking for when they decide to replace this truck. So I think it's just a matter of bringing together all the different ideas and opinions over the next 2 weeks. And,
Yeah,
I
there's-
guess-
go ahead, Gary.
Question would be, does relying on mutual aid involve, are we taking a risk going into the summer if there are a lot of responses required?
We still have
I'm
the
asking, I
rescue
don't
truck.
expect you
and
to
we-
have an answer to
Yeah,
that.
we have the
I'm just-
number 2 engine and we have the rescue truck. So, from what I understand, we could do it until, it can take a year once you order the truck
Right.
for it to be built and delivered. So we could potentially survive that period with an empty bay downstairs. One of the bigger questions is, what are we going to get to replace it? Because, we don't have the expertise to make that determination, and there's many opinions as to what the best replacement truck is. And, one of the newer vehicles downstairs, a lot of people feel that it's not the right truck. But we have it, and hasn't been there that long. So we want to try to avoid making a decision that they're not going to be happy with 5 years from now. So I know I've mentioned it before, but there is a service, a company that it's a consulting basis that can draw up a plan, a 20, 30-year plan that would say, well, look at the current fleet and say, this is what you have, this is what you need to service the village, this is what you need to service the town protective district, and this is what you should buy today, this is what you should buy in 5 years, this is when you should replace it. So, and that's about $4,500 for that service, for that plan to be drafted.
Is that something you want to pursue?
I think it's kind of
It's seeming like it's maybe more and more a good idea because,
Yeah, right.
It's a good
they've
time.
had the committee and they've been looking at it. And I talked to the gentleman, he's had some ideas about possibly repurposing the truck that nobody likes downstairs, and maybe it would not cost all that much, it wouldn't cost the full, $500,000.
I seem to remember these
Yeah.
discussions going on for
A while,
quite a while,
Yeah.
like a year or two.
pretty much.
I mean, to get some kind of closure on that.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the expenditure for the fleet assessment and fleet plan
I second
at
that.
$4,500. And any more discussion on that?
Do you have any idea how long that would take them to do that?
I don't have
Okay.
And
but
what
we
does-
would wait on any purchase, any repair, until we're able to move forward with that. So that would give us put everything on hold for the moment and get him working on it and see what his recommendation would be.
And what does that proposal include?
It includes an assessment of what we have now, and then a detailed plan of what we need moving forward to serve the community based on, here we have the hydrant district, which has different needs than the protective district without any hydrants. So that's where you need certain number of gallons in the tanker and certain, flow rates of the pumps. And so, and he offers some other services too in terms of the ISO ratings, which affects the homeowner's insurance. We just talked about that before. That's not included in this. That's more, filing of, forms with different agencies. I don't know all the details of it, but I don't know that it would affect us here as much in the village. That was something that would more benefit the town because their ISO rating is high. I think it's a 9, and I think that's about as high as it goes because they're not served by hydrants. But here, we are in pretty good shape. I think we could improve it by a little bit, which would offer a benefit to all the homeowners in the village because it would affect their
Are
rating.
fire boys in sync with this?
I was just going to say, if we approve that consultant's work,
Yeah.
what will I tell the fire department, how they should proceed? Should they just hold?
Yeah, I mean, they can continue with their truck committee.
efforts.
They're gonna do it regardless. but it would give maybe them a framework to work within and, help us objectively look at what the recommendation is coming, out of the
Maybe he
fire
can
department.
help guide them and.
Yeah, and he's worked with them in the past, and I mean,
Oh, he has.
I didn't find him myself, he came through the fire department, so.
I've got a brilliant non-starter idea. Should we ask the town to pay for part of this study, since they'll have to study the town's situation as well as ours?
It's a
We'd
great
assume
idea.
it's in the budget.
Yeah,
If we're gonna go with them in.
yeah, it'll go into the budget, they'll pay their piece. So all those in favor? Aye. So moved. All right.
You want to
Street,
talk-
yes.
You want to talk about a fire contract? Or is that not really?
Rich, we can talk about that later, right? The contract negotiation for,
Whatever you want.
okay. So let's go on to street then, Howie?
Okay, brush pickups have been done on the north and south side, and the guys pick up the brush from the main street every week, usually on Thursday or Friday before the weekend. The town will sweep our roads when the brush is picked up again, but I believe we should do that right before the parade, maybe next week. When's Memorial Day?
24th.
Okay, it's coming on.
Monday the 24th, Memorial
Right,
Day,
right.
10 o'clock's the parade, kicking off at the fairgrounds.
Right.
And you wear your uniform.
I will be there.
Oh, you have to dress up.
Yeah. Okay, the parks have been cleaned and mowed, and the tree committee planted trees after Tom of the street department, and Mike is saying here, he's a committee of one, he dug the holes with the backhoe. So we thank Tom Johnson for doing that. Mike called around for bids for the tree work that still has to be done. There's about 6 or 7 trees that have to be cut down. Only one company called back so far, and the problem he's having is because we usually use the one guy who's the lowest bidder, nobody else wants to bid anymore, so. Any thoughts on that? Should there be a time limit of how long we wait?
Do they give us, is it a labor rate that he charges, or is it just
No,
by the tree, or does he look at the tree and determine the?
in the past, he's done like,
Complexity?
he looks at 5 or 6 trees and he gives us a rate. That's what the other guys were doing too.
Yep,
But now the tree committee wants them to kind of do a per tree basis, so we know how much it costs for certain trees to come down, which he agreed to do.
I had
the
a-
vendor?
The vendor
agreed to-
did, yes.
I had the same situation when I took trees down in the water plant. Same fellow, he came in low bidder by quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, why can't we, contract, commit to a rate, and then when we have trees, we can just go to that vendor? Can we do that, Rich? Do we have to go out to bid on every tree, or can we go out to
Well, you
bid
either
and say?
got to comply with your procurement law, depending
Right.
if you're under $30,000, or if you're going to do it on a lump sum, you're going to have to go out to bid.
On every tree?
Well, on procurement, I mean, it depends
Yeah.
on how much you're going to be spending, what's in the budget for the year.
Well,
Definitely under
Yeah, the
30,000.
budget is 15,000 for the year, but
All right, so I mean, you're under that, and, you should at least make the phone calls in accordance with the procurement
well,
policy.
he does that, but we were waiting, so we don't want to keep waiting.
But we couldn't just go in and say, give us a per tree rate and get multiple bids on that, and then let that run for the
You could do
year
that.
or
so that
something?
you-
Okay.
Okay,
Then we wouldn't have to do it every time.
right.
Well, but the per tree, it depends on the kind of tree.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
really
I know
big
that
trees.
there's all
Well, it
kinds of
sounded like he was
different
willing to do
trees.
that, though.
Well, no, what he does is he
Oh,
looks at
okay.
each
He looks
tree.
at
All right, that's
Some
what I
trees
thought.
are over the
but-
wires, they take a little
Yeah.
bit longer, and,
All right, so we'll continue like we have been.
okay, so what about if we put a week limit on it?
I think that's fair.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I wanted to make a commendation to both of you with planting these trees. I think you did a wonderful job.
And we were looking for you, but we couldn't find
Well, I came back on Saturday, on Wednesday morning,
I know.
Wednesday night, and I saw all these beautiful trees lined up. in various streets, and I thought that really enhances the neighborhood. You did a really great job there. How many did you
See,
plant?
I'm the
fine
liaison. I
mulching
thought I
job.
got to gloat, but Howie has stolen my thunder here.
No, I said
But
both
no,
of you.
I'm kidding. But it was, and Brant Newnicker was out there helping. It was fantastic.
28 trees.
We had quite a
28
few
trees.
volunteers, a lot of trees.
Wonderful work.
And Rugi, we want to thank them for providing the truck. We had a little trouble with it this time, and they were embarrassed, and we said, you're helping us out. We appreciate it, but the mulch truck stopped, so we
It's
had to
stopped
do
in a
it.
good spot, though.
But we had to do it by wheelbarrow, getting the mulch to all the trees.
Yeah, I'd like to
But,
thank Rugies for donating the truck. It's a dump truck, and he says anytime you need it, it's ours.
And I was going to say that just Tom Johnson also, in addition to spending all day with us the night before digging the holes, he also provided his flatbed, without which we would have been in big trouble. So he went considerably beyond the call of duty.
Right. Okay, we demoed a grapple truck for brush pickup. It worked okay, we could find a use for it.
I'm looking for that thing. I was looking for it on the list there. Yeah, we do, it's snuck in there.
Yes.
I do have 2 quotes on that, 2 different manufacturers waiting on a third one. But since you brought it up, we just did spend, almost $8,000 to repair a backhoe. We got another backhoe that's out again.
Yeah, that's why the brush hasn't been picked up in the last
Right.
week.
So,
The grapple truck is a one-man operation. It's a truck that has a claw on it, picks up the brush, puts it right in the back of the dump. There's a dump part on the back of the truck. And we feel it would be a lot more efficient to use that instead of using 2 backhoes and 3 or 4 dump trucks and 5 or 6
And
guys.
they look a hell of a lot better.
Yeah. So where Heath used to live before, that was an operation. It's something new. I never saw anything like this before, but thank you, Heath, for introducing
it.
this grapple truck to us. Last month, Heath and I and Mike Wolf of the Highway Department went up to Troy and North Green Bush and looked at theirs in operation. So we got a few ideas on it. It's a pretty clean pickup, too, once they get used to it.
yeah.
Okay, Mike says the street department needs a small dump truck with a plow. And it would be also used for pulling the Bobcat trailer. As he says, his half-ton truck that they have now is too light for that use. We're still talking about that one.
We are.
Well, when we bought that cat, it was just a question of having a trailer. It was never a question of that we need a truck to pull the darn thing.
Right.
So what happened?
Well, the truck is not just to pull the Bobcat. They did have a pickup truck that was not replaced last year. So that Mike is recommending that this time, instead of getting another pickup truck, it'd be a dump truck, which would be more versatile.
It's like a pickup.
So it's not driven by pulling the Bobcat. You have something else that you can pull the Bobcat.
Yeah, we have another truck we can pull a Bobcat.
The
but
smallest dump truck.
This is the sales pitch here.
Yeah. This would be smaller than the currently smallest dump truck. It's like one of the ones you see in the landscape. The town has one that parks out here
Yeah.
on the street a lot, like that one. So I've been helping him look into used options.
Yeah, we can get the Bobcat around
Yeah.
without purchasing a new truck.
But we can't get the Bobcat around and something else around.
Meaning what?
Well, we could, if they want to use the Bobcat, like for stump grinding, it could be dropped off at a certain area, then they could go use the truck for something else.
Yeah.
You know. So.
So where are we gonna go with this?
Well, we're looking for a used
A
one.
used one?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a couple
Well,
leads
we
so
also
far
need-
that did not pan out.
We also need one for the fellow who works here, right? So is your plan to give him the small truck, the guy? No?
Well, I wanted to bring that up. Has there been any discussion about the truck down at the sewer department? Have you been down there lately? Has it been,
Only,
when we were there last?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so, they have a truck, the wastewater department has a truck they replaced it with a new one, I think in December. And since then, the old one has been sitting there. It needs brake repairs, so But apparently, once it has the brakes, it's okay, it has a plow with it, so my suggestion would be to bring it here to the village hall for our new maintenance worker to have, and it has the plow, could use to plow around here in the winter.
Well, I spoke to Anthony, he doesn't want to give it up.
Right,
But we can
that's a
ta-
given. But we have a precedence set that they didn't need it from December to May. So,
And it
guessing-
doesn't work.
Didn't we speak last time about sharing it between?
yeah,
the
I told him,
departments?
you know, I asked why he needed the second truck, and he said when they need to get an oil change on the first one, they need something to drive to the repair place to bring the guy back. I said, well, you can swing by here and borrow the truck from the maintenance worker here, and, you know, you can borrow the truck for the day, and also possibly the building inspector could drive the truck when he went out on inspection. So it would be kind of a, you know, overflow, because he doesn't put a lot of miles on. John here, the maintenance worker. He goes up to Williams Lumber here and there, but,
Yeah, and if Anthony needs it, he can have it for a
yeah,
couple hours.
you can borrow
a
it
day.
here and there,
Yeah.
so. And
So
then
when
they'll probably be due for, you know, maybe they can get a second one in a couple of years, so they'd have two decent ones. So the question is, how does the village general fund purchase it from the sewer department?
The sewer department can donate it to the,
Can they?
sure, for $1, right?
Just between the funds?
Yeah, I mean, can we just take
You can
it?
utilize the village, it's owned by the village.
Okay,
It is owned by the
The sewer.
sewer
District.
department, which
Sewer
is
department
funded.
paid for the vehicle.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and that's funded by
Yes.
special, you know, the people who own the sewer, so.
User
I think they
Is
could,
it fully depreciated at this point?
What year is it?
Sorry. I'll find out more when I go over there later in the week, but
How many years does it take to fully depreciate a vehicle?
5, 6.
I think it is.
IRS regs are like 3 to 5 something.
it's fully
Yeah.
depreciated now. It's not
Double
now.
depreciated.
Yeah,
Just give it to them for a
so
buck.
it would live here.
yes,
But I can tell Anthony that when he had those rare occurrences, when his other
Yes.
truck is being worked on, he gets it.
yeah,
Yeah, well, just do is make a phone call.
exactly. So we don't need to do anything special, we can just make that happen. Thank you, Rich.
So we're talking about a shared,
Yes,
Service.
primary assignment would be here at the village hall, and
And the
John,
repairs come out of,
the building department, the building, municipal
so I can
building.
tell him that he won't have to take the repairs out of his budget.
No, he won't have to
Okay.
take the repairs.
Okay,
We're going to charge them per mile when we give them a ride, though.
that's,
Yeah,
I'll leave that out.
54 cents.
Yeah. The other thing that we could use the truck for, since we're talking about it, is John could go around the village and empty the garbage bins with it.
yes.
Right.
So, that'll
is there
get
something
done.
that we'll have to put in the back of that to receive the garbage? Some sort of bin of some sort, or a bigger can?
No, what they
Bags.
do,
They just put it right in bags?
Put in bags.
Yeah, the bags go into the big bellies.
Oh,
when
what about
they bring the garbage out to the village highway department, there's a dumpster out there.
Oh, yeah, they take cans around with them. They take like
Because some of them don't have liners on them.
yeah, they take like a 35-gallon or a pair of them out in the back of the truck and fill it, you know, empty the little baskets into there and then bring it back.
Okay, catch basin work is underway out here on 308 by the mobile station. They fixed the catch basin out there, the one on South and Center right over here, Seymour and Lorraine Drive, and Kramer Road, and blacktop has been completed on some of the main basins. Patching and repairs of the roads will go on until the fall. The milling attachment on this famous Bobcat that we keep talking about says works great, and it makes for a smooth transition from the old road to the new road. That's Mike mills out makes it a smooth thing, so
I saw it, did a nice job on
so the
South
blacktop
Street, yeah.
adheres.
Yeah,
On
the
Center
center,
Street.
right there,
Center Street,
yeah.
Okay, one of the backhoes is down again, waiting on parts. Mulch sales are good, but there are a lot of complaints about going to the office to pay. What we did last year was instituted a system where whoever's buying mulch comes to the office first and pays, and then gets a receipt and brings it out to the highway department. I just want to have more of a control over that.
So who's doing the complaining?
Some of the customers that,
Customers?
yeah, because they used to just go out there
Yeah, I know, yeah.
and get the mulch, but now they have to come here. But once they get used to it, it should be okay.
Just on that note, if they're getting pickup, they obviously have to take the slip out to the highway department. But if they're gonna get it delivered, they don't need to deliver the slip themselves to the highway department. Mike will pick it up here.
Okay.
So it's a one-stop if you're getting delivery, free delivery in the village.
So far, so good with maintaining the water level at the dam when the storms hit. Now, that's, what he's talking about there is we have newly installed valves a few years ago at the bottom of the dam, and we open them up and we see that the weather's gonna be a lot of rain, and we're trying to maintain that, level of water for the back of the Landsman's Kill that goes out here, Route 308. So, we watch the weather, Heath and I and Mike Wolf, and we brainstorm on when to open up the valves, so there's gonna be a lot of rain this Friday, so we're gonna have to, look at that this Friday, before this Friday,
Okay,
like Thursday,
Thursday,
yeah.
the dam assessment team.
Yeah, the dam assessment team. That's it. Any questions? Oh, I got one for you.
Yes, go ahead, I got a couple highway questions. of
Asher
course.
Road, we plan on paving Asher Road this year with CHIPS funds. Where are we at with that? We didn't put that out to bid, right?
No, you have to check in with Tom.
Okay,
He was writing it, right?
yeah,
I think he said he was gonna start on it.
okay.
But we need an engineering plan before it can go out
Right.
to bid. We had the garbage truck that went out to bid a while back, and we talked about possibly repurposing it into a grapple truck, but I think that's probably, the better option would be to go to a new complete unit. So we did have one offer for the truck, so I'd like to make a motion to accept the offer from Hackers Packers to sell the garbage truck,
How much?
15,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Give that back. How about the municipal lot over here in terms of the lighting? And you guys have a chance to look at it by? No.
I was trying to figure out what you were talking about. When you go
Okay,
down into the lot
yeah.
over there,
When you go from the upper lot into the lower lot,
Yeah.
there's one light post, and then between there and where the shed is,
For the village?
the back of the property, the north side of the property, there's no lights, but there is a pole
No, this one.
that has power to it, that
Village owned.
there's nothing going on, so. We have a separate fund that was in lieu of parking for the businesses, so we have money available to maintain that lot. So the question is, do we want to put another light pole in there? Kind of match it up with the other side, so. That's, we put up 8 poles in the past, the ones that are out there now, they have the nice stonework at the bottom, and for the 8 poles, is about $20,000, I think. So, it's 3 contractors involved to put it, so.
Is there an issue with lighting, or is it just an issue that we have an area that used to be a light pole? That's,
Well, I think we got to look at night. I mean, I looked in the day, it's not like it's pitch black there, but it's not lit like the rest of it is. And if you're parked on the back of the lot, some people go down over that, grassy knoll, down into the other lot to cut over to the businesses, so, maybe you want to put like a couple steps in there and a light, I'm not sure.
but is there one missing, or we're not sure if there ever was?
There
one
was
there?
something there,
Okay.
but it hasn't been there for a while.
so should we just look tonight again?
Yes.
We'll do
let's
that.
do
We'll have a
that.
field trip
Field
after.
trip afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
You're all invited.
that goes on the agenda.
okay.
Pub crawl after the meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. And another question about I know I sent an email about the barriers around the trees to keep the mulch in, specifically in front of, the hardware store. They're the ones that have the bricks that go on the angle. And they got tore up last year with the snow removal. So they repaired them And our solution was for them to put posts up. They put posts up and they were damaged again and with snow removal, so, you know, I don't know if there should be some kind of guideline as to what can be used and what should not be used, and.
One of the problems, I think, is they build up the soil and the roots come up with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, they build them up so you can put some flowers in there and so on, but this is just the wrong kind of trees to do that. You know, it would be probably better to have pebbles or something like that in there.
I don't want to discourage anyone, because those are pretty nice, those are some of the nicest planting beds in the village, and I don't want to really discourage people from doing that. Is there any way to be more careful with the snow removal? I mean, the snow removal that gets done, I don't know how the tree committee feels, but if you look at the trees are all
They get banged
pretty
up, too.
banged up and marred
Yeah.
up and such too, and so, I saw the damage. It's unfortunate, because those are some of the nicest
Yeah.
planters in the village.
Well, we went through this 2 years ago and told everybody to be careful, and the same thing happened again, so.
You know,
They're in a hurry, there's a lot of snow there, they don't, really remember what's where, and,
Who's removing the snow there? Is it,
well, it could be the village, it could be the private contractors we hire. There's some people that, we have three of those, what's it called, the thing I was just talking about?
Bobcats?
Yeah, Bobcats. We have ours, and there's two other
Two others.
down there
Yeah.
from a couple other
so we
people.
really don't know
Yeah, we don't know.
who's doing
Yeah.
it? No?
Well, we
What do you
contracted
think,
it,
Jeffrey?
Oh, we
so.
contracted, okay.
Can the snow removal people be more careful?
It's hard, I mean, when you have 4 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some argument to just leave the snowbank that's there. You know, we don't have to scrape it down to
Right.
every inch of hardscape, but, or maybe we could come up with a standard as to what kind of material to use so it doesn't get torn up. I don't know.
And let's, at the beginning of every winter, let's send a letter out to all the people who are doing that for us, just,
Well, if I remember what was done there, is they put the stone on edge, on the outside.
Yeah,
And
they
then
put-
in the
they put-
inside,
the stones are like
close to
this.
close to the tree, they had thick metal bars. I think, if anything, you should do it just the other way around.
Well, the metal went in,
Put the metal on the outside rather than on the inside
the metal went in after
after.
to try to protect, their thought was if the blade lands on the antique brick, it's gonna
Yeah,
break it,
yeah.
but if it lands on the metal, scrape across the top, then it didn't work.
But you know what, I don't think there's anything that's gonna hold up to, when you're using a
Exactly.
backhoe or some of this heavy equipment, it's gonna tear just about everything up. The only way to really be 100% certain is to make sure that everything is lower than the plane of the sidewalk. And, as it is, those, like you said before, those roots,
Raise up, come on.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one in front of the church, there, of the Good Shepherd Church.
Yeah.
It's that high,
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
keeps on growing.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing we could do is just, if they're gonna do planters like that, make sure that they mark them.
Well, they
at the
did.
beginning of the season. Big,
Which sticks.
Yeah, the
big
big, like,
sticks.
driveway markers, the
Yeah.
reflective,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So, all right. How about the request for another catch basin?
Well,
Over there by Gary.
Yeah, this is 65 to 67 Arnett Road. Mike wants to look at it after there's some rain, after some water on the ground. I went over there and looked at it during a small rainfall, and there's a little water that collects there. But Mike thinks he can blacktop over there so that it'll raise that whole area so the water will go onto the lawn.
Okay. What number are you, Gary?
79. I'm on the other side of Knollwood.
Oh. I just know the puddle in front of your house there. I thought maybe it was your neighbor.
No.
Howie, what about that catch basin on Route 9, on the Chestnut, where the
Church of
church is there?
Messiah.
That is a
It's dangerous.
really
Yeah,
bad.
Mike's supposedly gonna look at that one too. I mentioned that to him.
Yeah, the covers come loose over the winter, and
Yeah.
it's actually turned up metal, it's a little sharp.
Right by the church.
Right
Yeah.
on the corner.
Right
Yeah.
on the corner there.
How about the stop sign at the end of parsonage,
This came up a couple of years ago.
yeah. And we
Where
put a
is that?
new one
That's
up,
Parsonage and?
Plat.
Plat.
Okay,
yeah,
And then you have the fairgrounds right there.
right.
yeah.
This can't hurt. I mean, we have four-way stops all over the place, and the fact is that this is potentially a four-way stop, but on the other side of the stop just goes to the fairgrounds, a short eighth of a block. So,
Yeah,
I think it stops people, and they're able to look ahead and see that. you
So
can't
there
go
is
in
no
front.
stop sign there now?
No.
Okay, well, why don't we,
The only thing I'm concerned about is during a fair, that everybody's going to stop there, and is it going to cause more traffic to back up?
well, I had heard one suggestion about the ones that are on a hinge. During the fair, as the traffic's
Like
coming in,
drop
you
it.
just drop it down.
Oh, okay.
But would you necessarily put one coming out of the fair?
No, this is, I think they just want one that faces the
Yeah.
fair,
Right.
right? It's not really going to be a
And facing
three-way stop.
No, I'm just saying that the way you described the fair traffic, I was wondering about people coming out of the fair, if they're coming out of the fair, would they stop at the Platte intersection?
So they didn't put up a stop sign, apparently. We put up a sign that said, "The road ends." So maybe just put a stop sign, and then right below it, "The road
We'll have to put a
ends."
stop bar in too,
Right.
paint the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in agreement.
What about, are we gonna, Parsonage and South? You know, I know the board has had this discussion before about that, where there's no stop coming up Parsonage from the south. You always have the right of way coming in that direction.
Where the blinking light is?
Right.
Yeah.
And
I have the answer on that one,
you do.
yes. So the reason why it's one way,
Backs up because of the buses?
the school
Queuing
buses.
school buses.
School buses, like 80% of them come down southbound on South Parsonage off of East Market. So that's why they open it up one way, and there's no stop sign there.
I think at one point I had some bad accidents there.
Well, it seems
Years ago.
inevitable
That's
that
why-
there would be.
Yeah.
Well,
Look at the history, there is no historical record of accidents
Okay.
at that site. No, I checked into
Really?
it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was told there was some bad.
But I'll
Two
just say-
buses stopped if that was a stoplight, if there was two buses stopped
Yeah.
and they were in front of the deli, that means there could be five on Market Street.
They'd be out on a
stopped.
state road, and it would
Right.
be a problem. That's, the justification is why it happened that way. So,
That's the only intersection I'm always scared. I may end up stopping anyway.
I've seen more and more people stop there anyway, so.
So do we have to approve this other stop sign? We have to make a motion.
Your
I don't
stop
think so.
your stop signs are under your traffic law, it's
Yeah.
a local law, you have to have a public hearing.
Yeah, we gotta have a public hearing on it.
Well, that certainly hasn't happened in the past.
Yes, it has.
Every stop sign in the village?
Whenever you enact it, it's in your,
All right. Let's do it. I feel like I've seen stop signs pop up
I
all
mean,
over
I
the
think
place.
I think you at different times discussed with the chief about some amendments to the vehicle and traffic section. You might want to get them all together at one time and do it.
Can we have it be more than one site? Because I've had a couple of residents talk to me about Parsonage and South, who it would be good for them to hear if they're not
Yes.
watching Panda. Now, hear that, could we address that at the same time in a public hearing?
Sure, let's come up, I guess we gotta come up with a list of potential changes and
We
go
got
out
a
with
lot of
it.
changes, also in the water department.
Oh, no, not
Just
for the code,
just
we're
stop
talking
signs.
specifically,
Traffic code.
Traffic code.
okay, yeah. All right. That's
Is
We
there-
could
it.
probably do that at a regular meeting, right?
Yeah,
So you'll have the list by the next meeting, or?
I don't think we have a deadline on it, do we?
Okay,
Yeah. We will begin to
It'll be in the
compile a
future.
list of requested,
thank you.
yeah, signage changes. Do you guys have anything for planning and zoning?
Well, you have your report in front of you. I don't know what, in the past, what has been read off of the report and what you'd like to
Yeah.
hear. I will say, John put together a letter and a planning and zoning and building department report. He also has provided us with a new fee schedule for the new, or to get us more in line with some of the other municipalities as far as building department, or building permit fees and renovation fees and planning and zoning application fees. So you've seen this before?
That's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, I think we should,
first time I've seen
we
it.
should take
Because
some
he
time
says in his
to,
letter, it says in his report, he says, I've also attached the fee schedule that was proposed at the reorganizational meeting. So
yes. I asked him to formalize it, and put it on Rhinebeck letterhead, because it was
Okay.
kind of a cut and paste before,
Okay.
so.
You
we
said
just-
C, we didn't see it, I heard it.
Right, well, that's what and when I read this, I was surprised too. This
Yeah.
is the first that I've seen it, so
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you guys had seen it before.
So we can
You want-
review it, and we're probably gonna be back together next week, and
Do we have to have a public hearing for this? To change the fee schedule? Rich?
No, your code provides that you can annually review and adopt a resolution adopting fees.
Okay.
all right.
So what I would ask you, folks, is to review this. I'm oftentimes in different municipalities and know the different fee schedules for them, and it is now more in line with some of our surrounding towns and villages. But you guys take a look at it, give me some feedback if you have any, and maybe next meeting, we can approve them. He also has a proposal in here too. He's spoken to Kevin Asher about some of the false alarm calls. Apparently they go on a lot of false alarm calls, the fire department.
Want to charge them for it?
He's also attached the code from the Village of Wappinger Falls and how they address these type of issues. So he put that in there as an opportunity for us to maybe look at this and see if this is something that we want to include in our code. There are also in here the monthly fees report of the different fees that have been collected for CO searches, $450 for that, $565 for building permits, $150 for certificate of occupancies that were issued, sign application fees of $150, site application fees of $500, and that planning board discussion fee of $100. That was collected in the month of April. And just one last thing that I'd like to bring before this board is I've participated in 2 of the last planning board meetings, and there were some issues that came up and that we may want to look into is updating our planning and zoning codes. When I was a part of the planning and zoning board probably 7 years ago, and then the village board, we had assembled a subcommittee to take a look at our planning and zoning codes and maybe address some of the things that needed to be updated. So over the years, and since I've left and different boards have been in place, different subcommittees were together and have addressed different parts. I don't think it ever came to fruition and was ever finalized. So when I was at the planning board meeting, the board brought that to my attention, and some of the people who had looked at this and been a part of these subcommittees said that they would be interested in continuing on with this and maybe bring before this board some changes that they think are maybe necessary. So I'd like to get together with the zoning board and planning board and maybe start this going again.
And Brant Nunecker was working on some changes and has continued to pursue that and put something together in writing, so we'll have that.
So you could get a member from the zoning board, member from the planning board, you guys, and,
Yeah, it was 2 from each.
okay, 2 from
And then the
each.
liaisons, at the
Yeah.
time, I was the liaison to both, but so maybe Gary and I and 2
Yep.
from each of those, and we can maybe get all of the information that had been gathered over time. Take
Yeah.
a quick look, see if it's still applicable, and
Okay.
any new stuff,
Okay.
and maybe,
What do you think would be a timeline to, not just get the committee together, but to come up with a proposal for all the changes so that we could, actually, have the hearing and amend the code?
I don't know about the planning board. I think Brandt is fairly far along. He was moving to do this. He was hoping to do it before he left the board. So in terms of his recommendations for zoning, we wouldn't need much time. I don't know
Right.
where the planning board people,
And-
I have a feeling they already have a pretty good idea too.
Yeah, and I don't know the work that Brandt's done, so, and maybe it's all
Yeah, we'd have to
inclusive,
look
maybe
at
it's
it.
all of that. So I guess before we can answer, at least before I can answer, is I think we'd like to see what's been done and maybe get back to you after that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to tie the general code in there with it, because, we had some feedback on the personnel portion of our general code.
And water and sewer, at least water we have some.
Yeah, everything that's in that blue book there that Rich has. Make it all right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. So I have the police report. They went on 91 calls last month. They issued 103 tickets. Did you get one?
No?
And they would just wanted to issue a reminder about parking in the crosswalks. I believe it's 20 feet or 22 feet or, anyway, the yellow curbs. And there's signs that say no parking from here. So that becomes a problem when the village becomes more congested, especially on the weekends over the summer. So please don't park in the no parking zones. Those are for accessible crossing of the roadway. And also a reminder, I know we just had the first outdoor day for the farmer's market, but the no parking zone in the rear of the lot, I guess it went okay on Sunday. But usually every year when it starts up, it requires a reminder not to park back there, because they'll have to tow the cars to let the market continue. They had on April 30th, they had a walkthrough on the police station over there, and they have a punch list of repairs to be made that came under the warranty, because we're coming upon the end of the first year. So a number of things that need to be addressed back there. That's all I got. There is no dog report.
Should we take it off?
Yeah.
Can I take it off from here on out?
Yes. So from,
What do you want to say there, Scott?
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say something to the effect that, I think I had mentioned it to Howie, but I was out early the other morning and I happened to be joined by some landscapers bright and early in the morning with blowers and mowers, and it was just 6 o'clock. And I was really surprised to hear that kind of noise that early, and so after I finished my walk with my dogs, I went back and I got our code book out, and I said, geez, there must be some sort of noise ordinance in there that doesn't allow that type of noise that early in the morning. And I went through the book and I was surprised to find that there wasn't. And that there's a noise ordinance, but there is no limits to when and where the noise can take place. And I wonder if this board would be interested in maybe taking a look at that and seeing if maybe.
There's something in there, right, but it's vague.
It's vague.
About being disruptive. It doesn't have a time, and
It's kind of tough to settle on a decibel level.
But I think maybe activity-wise, I mean, it just
Yeah.
seemed to me.
maybe
to
a
be-
start time
Yeah.
on different
just-
days,
And I actually thought that it was 7 a.m. to 10 PM, that was disruptive noise. And
But we do have.
I lived that way for many years, just knowing that was that was what I thought it was, and it's not.
That includes the garbage trucks, which come in about 7 o'clock in the morning and make a hell of a noise.
I don't know if I know you probably haven't received any complaints because it never.
we
really
have
been addressed.
received
Oh, you have?
complaints.
Oh, you have?
Yes,
And I don't think 7 a.m. is unreasonable.
yeah.
I think it should be even later,
Maybe 7 during the week, and,
at 8.
yeah, general construction, 7 a.m. is start time.
7 a.m.,
Weekends,
yeah.
was it 9 on a weekend, maybe, Sunday?
Well, if someone looks to mow their lawn or do
Yeah.
their own thing, I think
8:30.
7 a.m. is just reasonable all the way around.
How about the tree commission? Do we cover everything there?
No, there's one other
Okay.
item. We have to do some of the emerald ash borer treatment. Has to be done by the end of May or very early in June in order to be effective. It's called, the product is called Triage, I believe. But anyway, the Tree Commission got 2 estimates, and one seems to be moving, the one estimate. He came in and then now he's offered a lower price. So it needs to be done. Howie, you said you thought there was, I don't see anything in the budget that addresses this particular thing,
Well,
but is it?
I forget how many trees there are. There might be 6 or 7 trees. And one of them was on the property where Mr. David Silver put those lots in to the right of the Village Green. And he donated some money towards this. Now, I don't remember exactly. I don't know if you know, but we'd have to look that up.
Okay. So I don't know how to word a motion that would approve with the lowest bid. Right now, the bids are, one is a little over 1,000, one's about 1,400. But they're still negotiating.
For how many trees? For how many trees?
That's 7?
I think 6 or 7 trees. It has to be done at so many years. This might be the last treatment.
Right.
But we have to have the
The
firm estimate
risk is
for-
if you don't do it, then not only are those trees put at risk, but the emerald ash borer can do, additional damage.
When do they recommend that this be done by?
By the end of the month or early June is what Cicely Fraser, she's great, doesn't she? Cicely Fraser said.
Well, we're going to have a meeting next week, you said?
Probably.
So went out to bid, and you received bids.
Right.
And
But
they're
they're
changing their
negotiating.
bids?
So we can either say right now that we would, I'm sorry, that we would accept the lower bid, but I don't have, I could figure that out. It's about 1,075. No, 95, 1,095. She didn't give me the figure, I'm subtracting, is the lowest bid right now. So we can vote to approve that, but I think she was still negotiating, so it's a possibility we could save a few more dollars. So,
But if we meet next week, would it be okay, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Put that on. I know we keep talking about next week. We have a bid opening for the accessible crosswalks. That's
And I make.
tentatively scheduled for the 20th, a week from today. That's why we keep throwing around this potential meeting for next week. So put it on the agenda for next week, tentatively?
sounds good.
Okay. Nothing on the website? You have anything on that, Pat? No. All going well?
Is it possible for me to say something about the website?
Of course.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Step on up.
Chicken soup.
Yes.
Who are you?
I'm Paul Niederkorn. I live at 132 East Market Street, and I have some requests about the website. I understand that the town is going to come out with a new website shortly, and it would seem to me that it would make perfect sense for the village and the town to once again have only one website instead of 2. For the first 6 or 7 years that the town and village had a website, it was one website. And it uses a .gov extension, which anybody who looks at it knows that that's a genuine government website. When you see .org, you don't know whether it's a private website or really a government website. But it would make sense, because I don't see why, as a resident of the village, I'm paying for a website in the village and I'm paying for a website in the town, where a lot of the information is the same. Also, it's always been my belief, and I think it's still true, that many people don't really understand, people who live here, the difference between the town and the village. So again, to have one website, one place to go, and then when you're there, you say it would be really handy to be able to put in your address and have it come back and say, well, you're in the town or you're in the village, so you want to go and look at this in this case. You know, the assessors are for everybody, the building inspectors, we have different ones, and that brings up another question, though, is when you're putting together, if we're one website, you could have one set of standard forms for both the town and the village, maybe, in terms of building permits and whatever other forms there are. So I think that would make a lot of sense.
So when is that website coming up, the new website?
Beg your pardon?
When is that new website?
I don't have any idea. All I've heard is a rumor that the town is coming up with a new website, that the current one isn't very workable. And the village found, apparently, when we went to the new website a few years ago, it wasn't very workable for the village, so the village has its own website. Because there really was one for 6 or 7 years. So in this world of shared services, it should save money. It should bring the town and the village together on some project and hopefully lead the way to amalgamating more things like the forms and whatever, and maybe lead to one building inspector or one zoning enforcement officer between the two. Anyway, that's about all I have, but thank you. And also with the chickens, when we got here in '72, we had a chicken coop, and you know our lot. It's not even a quarter of an acre.
And it was a problem?
Well,
you
there
had
weren't any chickens.
You were raising them yourself?
No, nobody was raising chickens. It's just that in the past, somebody had chickens on this lot that has got a big house on much less than a quarter of an acre, and somehow they managed it in those days. So I don't know, but I think probably the odor is the big concern with raising chickens. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. So next thing we have here is a request from the school district to hang banners for graduation. They've been doing that for the past 5 years, and I would like to make the motion to approve their request.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
I'm paying attention.
Okay.
Who seconded it? I'm sorry.
I did.
Thank you, Adam.
Pat, I just saw this one today, the Relay for Life.
Yes, I sent that to everybody.
Okay. Do you have the date on it here? I'm not even sure.
I don't think there was a date on it.
Okay. Can you kick that back to them and find out a date when they want to do it?
You told me it was soon.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it was Memorial Day.
It's usually the first weekend in June.
The Relay for Life, first weekend in June? Okay.
Usually, I think Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, because it was in coordination with the Relay for Life up at the fairgrounds.
And that's the same weekend?
I'm taking what Mr.
Let's
Powers
find out.
says.
Yeah.
I have his cell phone,
Yeah.
I can call.
Confirm it and we can address that next week.
Okay, he has all the paperwork, I have the insurance forms and everything.
Oh, okay.
Insurance
Good.
papers and everything.
And I noticed it listed the locations. Are the
Yes, he listed the location.
4 locations? Don't we
Yes.
typically have 2 locations?
Yes, one on Route 9 and one on East Market. He has
Right.
one on all 4 corners, all 4,
Okay.
but that's what he's proposing.
Yeah.
It's up to
Well, I would think we should probably keep the locations consistent. Usually the one that's right out here, essentially in front of the municipal lot.
Did this group do it in the past?
No,
No?
No.
Oh, so this weekend may be already taken, first weekend in June.
Well,
If there's an event going on.
How many of these do we allow a year? I don't know
We-
if I want to be driving through the village every weekend.
Approximately 100% of the requests.
No. Usually it's local people that we
Yeah.
take care of. This is a national organization. So what we're trying to say is this going to like go every weekend? Somebody's going to be wanting to do a coin drop, and we kind of have to limit it.
Let's find out the
just
dates
pass
and then
on.
we can
No, I
find
know.
out.
This is why we're just talking about
Yeah.
it more.
all
Let's
right.
find out the dates and more
I think that's a
information
good-
about
that's a good way to limit it.
what the story is.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
essentially, every time there's a big event at the fairgrounds, somebody wants a coin drop. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
So in terms of I think we're on to our bid opening, aren't we, Pat?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I just have a little bit of an update on that. It was all, it's all been submitted to engineering for the necessary repairs to the Asher Dam pedestrian bridge. we have a letter of appeal that was sent to the State Emergency Management, who is our kind of go-through to FEMA to reopen the funding stream that was open a few years back. It's, all looks like it's in line, and we have a couple bids to open now for the project. Exciting.
Like the Academy Award.
Yeah.
So we got one here for $69,000 for the Asher Dam portion.
It's from what company?
Do we give the company now, or just when we award it? Sun Up Enterprises. $69,000 for Asher Dam, $37,800 for pedestrian bridge. You got one, Scott?
Yes, I do. This one's from Contact Construction Technology, and their proposal is for both the Asher Dam and Route 9 pedestrian bridge. Total lump sum base bid, $64,970.
Wow. Difference there. 64?
64,970.
I wonder how many more envelopes there's gonna be in here to gift it. It's a joke.
I'm just curious, is this
So
the
three's the limit.
procedure when you're unsealing bids, it has to be done?
Yeah, wait till you get your bids for your
Yeah.
sewer department for like the phosphates and all that stuff. That's really exciting.
All right.
Who's this from?
This one is from TJR.
Yeah.
With a total of $53,278.50.
For both,
Yes.
dam and bridge?
Yep.
Factor of two difference.
Now, of
I
course,
just
we
want to
have
make sure I'm seeing it all,
Right.
that they put all the pictures back in there, that's what the rest of it is.
And of course, these all have to be reviewed and qualified that they're apples for apples, because there's
Yeah,
exclusions listed on, and
Okay.
qualifications on each and every bid. And we have to make sure they're in full compliance with the specifications.
yes.
That's your expertise,
I was
right?
gonna
So
say-
what's the typical procedure for doing that?
The
The
engineer.
engineer should review it.
Yes.
Well, we opened them now, so do we,
You can't award it right now. The engineer's got to go through
Okay.
and review it.
all right. Sounds
Normally,
good.
when we do that, we have the engineer here.
Oh.
They look at it right away.
Okay,
But that's okay.
yeah.
They are what they are. Those are
We'll
the way
have
they
the
present
engineer,
it.
we'll have the engineer look at it, and hopefully next week we can have a,
Subject to his determination.
yes.
Who's the engineer?
Yep.
Tom Mannix is the engineer in this one. Thanks.
Thank you for the bids.
All right. Accessible crosswalks project, that is the one we were just talking about. It went out to bid, and we'll be opening those next Tuesday.
They're due on the 19th at 2 o'clock,
Okay. So Tuesday at
and then they'll be opened on the 20th.
20th.
What's the plan for that work, for it to commence?
Commence as soon as possible, to be completed prior to the fair.
Okay. Because there's and this all happened prior to my arrival, so
Yes.
forgive me if I don't speak correctly here. This crosswalk is in front of M&T Bank, or one of them is?
Correct.
Okay, because the owner of the M&T Bank building was before the planning board for some site plan adjustments with regard to his sidewalk.
Yes.
So how these all come together is something that we will want to take a look at.
Definitely. I'm going to coordinate that.
Okay.
So they want to do the whole sidewalk in front of M&D, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that we'd probably want to coordinate that work. The planning board only reviewed their proposal, and so the planning board probably should be given the plans and specs for those crosswalks, so that when they do review this further at M&T Bank, that they can have that information.
We can do that.
Is there also one going across the street to the bagel shop from?
Yes.
So that's the other one with 46 West Market
Okay.
Street people.
Mhm.
Still.
Yep.
Where can I get copies of?
Now, the one on 46 West Market Street also ties in with the drainage ditch going down that driveway, right?
No, I think it's east of there, right?
Yeah, it's east of that.
It's east of that.
I think it ties in with the east corner by the old firehouse there, right?
Yeah, the new crosswalk is going to be on the other side of where the driveway that goes into the Beekman Arms there, over to towards,
On the west side
yes,
The west side of it?
I believe so.
Okay.
But anyway, the proposed drainage for the new project that's going back in there,
Goes down that driveway, right?
it comes down like more Oak Street and
Okay.
doesn't go that far over.
It's far than,
Yeah.
Yeah.
west
Yeah.
even, okay.
Yep. Pat, do you want to talk about the uniform contract?
Sorry, yes.
That's all right.
We had received quotes from Ulster Uniform, Uniform USA, UniFirst, Cintas, and in the total review of all of them, our current uniform contract, which is with Uniform USA, it came in the cheapest. So my recommendation is to keep with our current uniform. That's my recommendation.
Okay.
What are
Do
the,
it.
what are the dollars involved there?
The-
We went out for a bid, right?
I received quotes
Quotes.
from all the different
Yeah.
uniform companies. We had Ulster Uniform, Uniform USA, UniFirst, Cintas, and they all gave, and instead of going from department to department, I did a grand total. And it came out that Uniform USA at $86.89 was the cheapest on all.
But they came out also per piece was
Yes.
was better, yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Each one was per piece, per department, per person. And I looked, if you went across, in some departments, it was cheaper with one company, and some was with another, so I did total.
Okay.
Right.
So we have to make a motion to accept that?
I'll make the motion to renew the contract with the current uniform vendor.
No, second.
And I do have some discussion on that. I'd like to make sure that within the departments, we kind of review what they're using and what they need. You know, because we had when we had the one vendor come in, the vast majority of the employees were not wearing their uniforms, and the guy was there to kind of assess what they had and what they wanted, what they needed, and discussions across the departments. Some of them don't use what they're provided, and some of them do. So it'd be nice if we could work with our departments and make sure that we're getting them the right stuff, so we're not, wasting it.
Do you want to discuss the patches?
Sure.
I had also looked into companies seeing about having patches made to put on the current sweatshirts that the guys have purchased with their uniform allowance, so at least they would have something that would be recognizable that they work for the Village of Rhinebeck. So I found a company that would make, I emailed them our PDF of our village seal. They came back with a price on, I don't think I brought that up tonight, price on what it would be for, yeah, I didn't bring it up.
It was like $1.50
Yeah,
or
for what it would
something
be for the patches, and then we would have to have an independent person, or if the guys want, however, attach them. But at least then that way, and then talking to the departments, I think everybody was agreeable because the village had bought those sweatshirts. So they wanted, that way they would have something that would show that they were, as I said,
Would they get ironed on like?
no, it would be sewn on.
Oh, so.
Right now, how it works is we provide basically the pants and the shirts and a jacket, but it's not like a heavy winter weight. It's the one, a couple of the guys in the water department wear it all the time, and those get picked up and cleaned. Like the highway guys get jeans. But then we provide, currently, they can go buy a winter jacket or suitable winter gear. So they buy a winter jacket, and they don't need another one the next year, so they buy 3 Carhartt sweatshirts. So when you see them, they have nothing that says Village of Rhinebeck. So the idea is to, give them a patch for the ones that we've already purchased, and then in the future, Pat's working so that instead of, we also provide boots once a year. So the boots will continue, they go wherever they want, buy the boots and submit, but we're gonna order the sweatshirts as a group, so they will not go out.
Get them embroidered?
Yes,
The
they'll be
same
embroidered.
company would be able to embroider them.
I
And then-
think Heinz needs one of those, too.
Yeah,
He's
Yeah.
up there
Yeah.
every day.
Water department.
it's operation.
I think it's different than the motion you have on the floor. Maybe you ought to get rid of that first.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Who seconded that? Thank you, Scott. Okay. Do I need a motion to order those, or patches, or?
Rich is saying yes, so.
We need a
Yes.
motion to order patches?
Second?
Okay. I made it. Garrick seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Order some patches.
Thank you.
We crossed D off the list there. Next thing is the employee health insurance plan. The current plan is going away, as they have been recently, so we need to pick a new one. And they sent across some potential alternatives for us. So anyone wants to work on this? Take us.
When does it have to be done by?
It's July 1st, right, Pat?
Yes.
Yeah. So we got to come up with something that's agreeable and meets the comparability clause in the union contract. So,
You're good with union stuff, right, Scott?
okay,
not insurance
Scott,
stuff,
you
though.
and I will work on this
Together?
when we do the police contract. How's that sound?
Excellent.
Okay. So, last week, Howie and I went to the Dutchess County Supervisors and Mayors Association meeting where they talked about the state budget and the potential effect on all the municipal budgets. And I guess there's a lot of confusion, misinformation out there. But basically, it's a 3-year plan. And in 2015, what we would need to do is, A, meet the tax cap, which is going to be consistent, and then, identify a plan for increased efficiency, which can be just about anything, right? And then in 2016, you have to meet the tax cap and show a 1% operating budget efficiency improvement. You have to do the same thing in 2017. And it all hinges on the plan. And I guess some of the misinformation is that if you were to exceed the cap, then the homeowners would lose their star rebate. That's kind of the message that's being sent out there, but that's not exactly accurate.
Right.
It would be, what they're going to be doing is sending out rebate checks. And they said that for, a village, it'd probably be about $5 per household. $5, $10, something like that. So the threat is not quite the same as the actual impact. So,
I don't understand.
you don't understand?
They send the check for $5 or $10?
Well, it'll be one check that will include your school, your town,
Right.
and if you live in the village tax.
Yeah.
So the village portion of it, your check may be, I don't know, $300 or $200, but most of that will be the school tax,
Right.
and the smallest piece would be the village tax. So,
And that
they
is
said the actual impact to the homeowner would be very small.
That's instead of the star?
No.
No,
This is it's called an efficiency rebate check.
Okay.
So it's trying to get the municipalities and the school districts to be under the tax cap, which is determined by the state. And like Heath said, school will be the biggest portion of this check. So,
But is that?
And it hit the schools first.
yeah.
Okay, it is not instead of the star.
You're still gonna get your star
No.
Well, and the
Rebate.
enhanced star.
and the enhanced star, yes.
Yes.
It's not affecting that. This is an added
Incentive.
incentive, yeah.
But some of the message that went out was that, hey, if you're, if the village or the
Yeah.
town, if they don't meet their cap,
We're not
then
gonna
we're
get
coming
it.
after your star.
Yeah, because
So
that's
to try to-
that's what I
yeah.
read when we got there,
Yes,
and that's
Yep.
not the case.
right, that's not the case. So the last thing here under other business, we have a proclamation for Vera Schrouth Van Wagner. She will be turning 110 on May 24th.
Wow.
She resides at the Baptist Home. She's the oldest living resident in Dutchess County. Was married in 1933. Was involved in Schrouth's ice cream business in the city of Poughkeepsie. Was an avid gardener. So, therefore it be resolved that I hereby proclaim Saturday, May 24th, 2014 as Vera Schrouth Van Wagner Day in the Village of Rhinebeck. And on behalf of the village, we'd extend our best wishes and a happy birthday.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Vera. 110.
110,
Wow.
oldest in Dutchess County.
That's as much as you and me together almost.
Look at that. Got some good years left in us, yeah. Oh, Gary, you want to talk about the sidewalk bus stop?
Well, it's two
Gotcha.
things.
Yes.
One, just to give you a quick, the project description was submitted for the pre-review for the grant for the Transportation Alternatives Program, so we submitted that to the Department of Transportation, and we should be getting some feedback shortly. June 11th is the final deadline for that. We're getting, Dr. Phelan is working on a letter for us, which our consultant, Victor Cornelius, tells us that's the key letter we need. Other than that, he's working on, we'll get letters of support from our state senators.
Assemblyman.
Yeah, he feels that that's the only ones we really need. I'm also contacting some other groups, like some of the senior groups that represent seniors in the area, to get letters of support from them. Victor says it's not going to make a big difference, but I'm going to get it anyway. Anyway, so that's working. Also, when I was at the Bicycle and Pedestrian Alternatives meeting, Ms. Ruiz, who works for the county, said that they have some free things they can give to people if in conjunction with bicycle or pedestrian routes, such as bike racks, garbage receptacles, some other things. And the way it was presented to me, these were freebies. All we have to do is enter an agreement. Jim Reardon had been the liaison to this committee, so I assumed Rhinebeck had been in agreement with, but found out we were not. So they have forwarded the information to the mayor, and I see no, I haven't looked it over with a fine-tooth comb, but I see no strings attached to this one, so I see no reason why we shouldn't enter into that agreement.
I'll send it to Rich. I have it
There you
here.
go.
Take a look for us.
And we have, she provided a sample from the town of Pauling, just so we could see an example, but a lot of the other municipalities have entered into this agreement.
Okay, thanks. In terms of correspondence, I did get a letter from the Boy Scouts, just reminding us that they have their big weekend is coming up here at the fairgrounds. I think they're going to have 3,100 registered scouts. So there's going to be overnight camping, there's going to be fireworks. So they just asked for our cooperation in the event of emergency. So I'm sure they will have it. Water and sewer adjustments?
Okay. You want me to do, Derek, you want me to do the water sewer adjustments?
You have it all in
Well,
front of you?
The sewer, we had two new owners, 25 each, and that one final for $94.95. And we removed the collection fee of $25 because the check was in the office at the right time. We had 4 new owners in water adjustments, 4 new owners and 5 finals. And we had an $810 adjustment for the town pool. And the reason for the $800, there was not much water consumed there. The reason for the $800 is because of the large size of the pipe that they have. So we normally charge them $810, but we don't actually collect money from them. We had $75 we wrote off for the town, for the village police water. We added a bad check fee of $25, and one of our customers broke one of the water meters at the bottom. It was frozen. The cellar was frozen, was too cold, the thing broke, and we charged him $25 for replacing that. So that's it. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the water and wastewater adjustments as per plan here. Pat has this.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What do we got for minutes there?
Yeah, Pat, I can put it in there.
Wednesday, March 5th, Tuesday, April 8th, Tuesday, April 29th, Wednesday, March 26th, and then there was the voucher approvals for January, February, March, and April.
Yeah, we never did that before, right?
It's usually part of the minutes, but I didn't have it, it's usually attached, it has to be part of the minutes. And I didn't have them attached because I didn't have the information, so I went back to since I became clerk and I got the information.
So, Pat, are these all the vouchers? It feels like I'm signing hundreds of vouchers.
These are all these are the totals that Chrissy gave me for all the vouchers that were done and the check numbers and the totals per department for manual and written and computer checks for January, February, March, and April.
So that's a composite of all the vouchers that we are signing?
Right, for each month.
Now, this is kind of meaningless to me, actually, because, you know.
So we're approving the ones from the previous month, so the ones that we're signing today, we're gonna approve next month.
Correct.
Yeah. What I mean is because I see the numbers over here, I have no way to correlate them with anything.
You've already signed them, you've already approved the vouchers.
Yeah,
but the-
just we've
but the
never seen
total-
that before.
The totals have to be part of the minutes.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to try from now on to have it at the bottom of your minutes when I give you the minutes to be seen.
So for years, we haven't done that, and it's since
should have
you are,
been.
since you are in, that's what we're doing.
It's supposed to be part of the minutes.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes
The grant.
and vouchers detailed by the clerk.
Isn't it connecting the village?
Second?
Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And then the vouchers for this month are downstairs,
Correct, they're on my
ready to
page.
go. So you guys good on clearing what you gotta do on the vouchers? Okay.
They have to be
Well,
signed
good.
tomorrow, if
Yes.
possible, so
So-
that they can start to be processed.
I would like in the, if we can, moving forward, if we can get to them before the meeting, so that if something comes up, I know every month that I look through them, I see things that bring up
Questions?
questions in my mind, and, you know, it'd be good if we all looked at them beforehand, because we all got to sign them anyway. So we look at them and,
It's
We could-
hard for that department, for Chrissy and for
Yeah.
Denise to get because they're sometimes getting the information the day of the meeting.
yeah,
So,
you really don't have an opportunity before today to look at it, but if there's any chance we can look at them, so. Because basically that's our chance to look through and say if it looks right, or, like today I found what I thought were maybe some duplicates in there. I saw they bought a catch basin cover, things like that. So. Good? Good. Okay. So I'd like to, you guys got anything else?
Yeah, well,
further?
what about the thing
Okay,
that
go ahead.
Pat came up with, moving the telephone? Do we have to talk about that tonight?
yes, I had a quote. It is a little over $100, I think. No, that's 8 Packers.
To move the
To move
telephone,
the telephone from the storage, our vault storage area, into the hall downstairs by the stairwell. So then therefore it would be accessible to anybody downstairs, because right now it's in a locked room.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you, because I didn't understand. Do we have a telephone in the
There's a
lock?
telephone in a locked room.
Do we want to give
Why-
access to?
why do we need
in a
it?
common area? to a
I
telephone?
wanted, because right now John Ramondo's downstairs, and if we need to get, or if I need to get in touch with him, or if he has a phone call or whatever, that way he has a phone. Right now, he would have to,
why don't we just move it over to where his area?
because hopefully, potentially, part of that area would be made into a storage unit, storage space for clerk papers.
What do you mean John's downstairs, is in the basement?
He has,
Well,
like, his area, he has some of his catalogs and some of his tools and stuff
Yeah.
downstairs in the boiler room.
Where are you proposing to move it to?
Just downstairs on the other side, just downstairs on the other side of the stairwell.
Kind of by the water fountain? Is that-
No,
No.
the basement
Down the basement,
downstairs, yeah,
basement.
That's what I was going to get. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, basement.
Yeah.
There's one now downstairs
I see.
by the vault, but
Yeah.
it's in a locked area. The phone company said, or Superior said it would take about an hour. I had them look also, because Tricia thought she needed to have them do some work here so that she could use a phone that is for the court. But we found that that line is active, so we don't need to have them do anything with that. So it would be just having them move the line.
Feasible?
Okay. So I can go ahead and do that.
Do we need a motion on that?
It's got it in the budget, so as long as you're authorizing it.
Okay.
Okay, there's just one more thing I forgot to mention during the street department. Heath came up with this form, and he's starting with the highway department. Eventually, it's gonna go to the water. And can I talk about this?
Let's hold off on that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
forget it.
let's, yeah.
We'll talk about that after we get going on it.
Right.
Okay?
Momentum.
Yeah, history. We'll have some
Momentum.
history on it.
Can we do this? Got a question here.
What is that?
Well,
Yeah, we're
reporting-
gonna wait on that. Yeah, well, yeah. Anything else? No? So I'll make a motion to go to executive session to
Second.
discuss individual personnel history, employment history? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Having the time.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the executive session.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So in terms of the, our next meeting, and discuss it more.
Sorry.
So, yeah. So we're going to go to committee.
That
and
was not
uh,
our intention.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was not covered in our executive session, and we will, what's that?
I said, thanks for clarifying it.
Yeah. So we're going to have, Rich is going to review the contract proposal from the town, and then we're going to come up with our recommendation for next week.
Sounds good.
That'll be the 20th,
20th.
When are we meeting?
right? 20th, 7 o'clock? Anybody else got anything? To make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.